Welcome to another Top 5 Forgotten Cards. Today we'll be covering the top 5 forgotten cards from Ikoria Lair of Behemoths. Let's do it. For today's number 5 card, I'm excited to bring you this mythic Shivil, Bane of Monsters. Alright, so this has 2 paragraphs of text. It costs 2, a black and a green. It has Death Touch, and the text on it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponent controls no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter onto target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So they don't have any bounty counters on any of their creatures or planeswalkers. You get to put one on there. And what that bounty counter does is whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. And that works well with this card because it has Death Touch. It's also a 1/3, so it doesn't die to like your Shock, your Bone Crusher Giants, that type of spell in Standard. And cool mechanic for Commander, with it being a 2 cost, possibly your Commander or just part of your Commander deck, maybe some sort of Death Touch deck. There's a lot of text on this card, and for that fact, it just adds a lot of flavor, and it's a fun card for Commander. You're literally a bounty hunter going out killing your opponent's creatures, so that's just a cool thing to do. And then it being a human rogue, it fits well in Standard. They do have the parties, rogues can be a party member, and it also fits well in Modern. It's a 2-drop with a lot of text. They're always looking for those in Modern, so definitely keep your eye out for this card. With the removal of like Uro decks and all those broken decks, Standard is in a place where we're looking for cards that we can take advantage of our opponents with, and this is definitely one of those cards letting you draw cards in green and black, and also just being a big presence on the battlefield with 2 mana. So turn 2, play this card. It's pretty good. My number 4 card is Colossification. This card is just, how can you ignore it? Big giant cat, and it's an enchantment. Enchantments aren't always the best, but this one's pretty good. Enchant creature, when Colossification enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +20/+20. That in itself is kind of ridiculous. You're using this giant cat spell to turn your creatures into monsters that have +20/+20 to whatever their power and toughness already is. And then on top of that, a good combo with this card is using something like Kazul's Fury or any other sort of card where you're flinging your creature at the opponent. And Kazul's Fury, as an additional cast to cost this card, sacrifice a creature. Kazul's Fury deals damage equal to that sacrificed creature's power to any target. So you got your 1/1. Ooh, Colossification. Now it's a 21/21. Oh, Kazul's Fury, I'm just going to fling at you. You die. Boom, game over. So that's pretty cool. Another card that's kind of like that, Ram Through. Basically, it's like Fling, except for you don't lose your creature. It just fights target creature, and then whatever excessive damage, kind of like Trample, that gets dealt to the opponent. So that's another way to win. And the third way, one of the more viable ways in Standard might be Garruk, Unleashed. This is a 4-cost Planeswalker, and its first ability is up to 1 target creature gets +3/+3 and gains Trample. So that helps you out. You give it Trample, you put Colossification on it, boom, they're pretty much dead. 20 life, 20 however much life, they're gonna die. So the second ability on Garruk, create a 3/3 green beast creature. Then if an opponent controls more creatures than you, put a loyalty counter on Garruk. I don't know, Garruk. I'm sorry for pronouncing it wrong. But regardless, he makes a creature for you to Colossification on, and then you're going to give it Trample and kill them. So that's something to watch out for. Now, I'm not going to say this card's going to take over Standard anytime soon, but you should definitely just keep your eye on it. Really cool card. Good card for Commander. You can have some cool themes. Commander's about having fun. Play this card. It's my number 4 pick. My number 3 pick, how can it get any cuter than a giant 2020 cat card? Well, let me tell you. How about a Elemental Otter card?
Hell yeah!
Lutri, the Spell Chaser. It costs 1 and a mixture of blue and red. Total of 3. It is a companion, which it instantly was banned in Commander because it's going to be an instant inclusion in every Izzet deck in Commander. So rightfully banned, but still legal and standard, and you don't have to use it as your commander. Keep that in mind with these commanders. They cost the extra 3 mana now to play them as your commander. So basically you just keep it off to the side, you pay 3 mana whenever you want, you get it in your hand. Now, you can just include it in your deck, so it can take up one of those slots in your deck, so you have a 60 card deck, and you can play 4 of these in there. With that said, this Elemental Otter, I still laugh when I say it. Let me say it again. This Elemental Otter, it has Flash, and Lutri the Spell Chaser enters battlefield. If you cast it, copy target instant or sorcery card that you control, and you can choose a new target for those copies. So there's a lot of shenanigans you can do with this Elemental Otter. And just as simple as playing something like Claim the Firstborn, getting 2 of their creatures, also getting your own creature, attacking them like that, or removal spells like Shock or something like that. You can just double those up. Those are good plays, always. It also pairs well with cards like Lore Dracus. This is a mutate card, and whenever this creature mutates, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. So it just keeps you having those instants and sorceries that you need to cast and need to double up on with Lutri in your hand. And then what I'm happiest to present to you is a little bit of a combo, and I'm going to let you do your own brewing, but just to give you an idea, you get Ironcrag Feet and Leyline Tyrant, and basically Ironcrag Feet, you add 7 red mana to your mana pool, and then Leyline Tyrant is flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps or in phases end. That includes your end phase, so you don't lose your red mana at all, as long as Leyline Tyrant stays out. But when it dies, you may pay any amount of red. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target. So instantly, if you have your Leyline Tyrant out and you just get 7 mana, and then use your Lutri to double your Ironcrag Feet because it's a sorcery, now you got 14 mana sitting there just waiting to dome your opponent in the head for 14 damage once Leyline Tyrant dies. There's a bunch of shenanigans I'm sure you can brew up with that. I'll let you do the brewing, but please just leave a comment, let me know what you come up with. I'd love to see it. I thought about it a little bit, but there's just so many different things you can do. I didn't want to present you with just one way. So do your own brewing, let me know what you find out, and leave a comment below, and I'll like it and I'll read it. I promise I'll read all the comments that you leave. But anyways, that's why Lutri the Spell Chaser is my number 3 forgotten card. Alright guys, my number 2 pick is Nethroi, Apex of Death. Now this creature costs 5, but it has an option to mutate it for 6, and has Death Touch and Lifelink. It's a 5/5, so that's pretty good right there for a 5 cost creature. Just those stats alone. And whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creatures with a total power of 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know why more people aren't playing this card. It just sounds broken. It's like there's another card called Necropanther, and it's pretty much the little brother of Nethroi, and they both do the same thing. And there's actually a lot of cards in Standard that would go well in a deck with Nethroi. For example, Archfiend's Vessel. It's that 1-cost creature, human cleric, and basically when it dies and goes to the graveyard, if you play it from the graveyard, you can get that 5/5 demon token. Fiend Artisan, that's already a very good card in Standard, and in a deck that revolves around the graveyard, where you're trying to get stuff in the graveyard, it would be a good addition. And then Gyruda, Doom of Depths, which I thought about including on this list as a forgotten card. Some people still play her, but it was a hyped up card, and it would belong in this deck right here, just because it plays around in the graveyard. The more creatures that you have in the graveyard, the better for Nethroi, and Gyruda definitely helps you with that ability. Basically, Nethroi is kind of like, if you guys know what Protein Hulk is, there's a bunch of Protein Hulk combos going on in Modern, and basically Nethroi is like a version of Protein Hulk that's a little more fair. So it's definitely a very good forgotten card, and I haven't seen anybody playing this card lately, and it's just such a fun card, and it would be amazing to see more decks with Nethroi. So if we can make that happen, that's why I'm putting it here on my number 2 list for forgotten cards from Ikoria. Alright guys, time for that grand finale. My number 1 card that is forgotten from Ikoria is Luminous Broodmoth. Now, this card was so hyped when it came out. It cost 4, 2, and 2 planes, flying whenever this creature, whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So it's just going to revive all your creatures, and the fact that you can have like Al-Sad's Life Bounty or Selfless Savior in your deck, and it matches the white deck. These cards are just going to keep everything alive. Nothing's ever going to die. If it dies, Luminous Broodmoth's going to bring it back. There's no way to kill anything. And then for your modern players, there is infinite combos with this. You can brew your own combos, but the one I'm going to tell you about is with Solemnity. Now this card, players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Oh, so Luminous Broodmoth, when your creature dies and it gets that flying counter, now with Solemnity, it cannot get that flying counter, and it just revives it over and over. And now, let's take advantage of that. Vampire Hexmage, first strike, sacrifice it, remove all counters from target permanent. That works as well with Luminous Broodmoth. And then, because you just sacrificed your Vampire Hexmage, guess what? Your Bastions of Remembrance, or any card that when a creature enters the battlefield, it deals damage. You see where I'm going? Luminous Broodmoth's going to bring back your Vampire Hexmage. It's not going to get any of the counters, and it's just going to go through that cycle over and over and over until your opponent's dead. That's how that works. Until all your opponents are dead. Even in Commander, hey, I killed you, now I'm just going to start targeting you, and you're going to die, and then you're going to die, and you're going to die. So you can see why this card is definitely fun. It's definitely forgotten. Nobody plays it right now. So let's start playing this card. And I just want to tell you all, thank you very much for giving me the support and watching this channel. My goal of this channel is to keep producing this type of content, but eventually I would love to do some pack openings. And if you want to help me get to that goal, please use my link below. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let's make Magic the Gathering the most enjoyable, most fun game that we possibly can. You all have a great time playing online, in store, wherever you're playing, with your friends at home. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the game. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.